Hello there, welcome to Lame Heart. I'm Rory Egan, and you're very welcome to this very special Best of 2025 episode. It's Christmas season, New Year's about to come in, and it's absolutely the perfect time for a nice little recap on what songs rocked my world this year, and what songs rocked everyone's world this year, to be honest, because what a year we had in music this year. I truly couldn't keep up as one person with just how much amazing stuff was released this year. I joined Substack this summer, and I love it because I wanted to get back into writing, and in one piece I referred to all of this as a beautiful gluttony, because that's how it felt. So much stuff to pour over, and today's episode is kind of a yearly tradition to me, but it's a first time podcast version. So every year I keep a list of all my favourite songs of the year, which is quite a long list, and I whittled them all down to a best of the best shortlist. Now, normally when I'm going from the long list to the short list, I try to put more of a kind of critical journalistic hat on, whatever buzzword you want to use there, and try to give some weight to what other people enjoyed, because, you know, I am one person, I am one opinion. I want to try and get more opinions involved here, and while it is my list at the end of the day, a song I have a soft spot for might not be as strong as another by the same artist. So I've been as objective as I can in whittling it down to this best of the best of 25 list. I'll have both the long list and the short list linked in the episode description if you want to check them out after listening here. Now, I have a little disclaimer to make. I probably sound all right. My audio quality is probably very good because I'm at home for Christmas, and it means I'm able to kind of construct this quasi vocal recording booth, which means hanging up towels around me to be able to record in. But I've come down with something overnight, and my voice doesn't feel great. My throat definitely doesn't feel great. So I'm taking this easy, taking it slow. I did have today slotted in to record this, and that's just the way the cookie crumbled. But we'll see how long I can keep talking for. But this year, basically, I thought I'd celebrate my shortlist even more than I normally do. I normally just post it on socials and keep it as one of those like Instagram story highlights. But this year I thought, make a full-blown episode out of it. And I'm glad to say that after I had all my songs chosen and I'd narrowed down to 15 best of the best songs, I thought who better to tell me why these songs are class than the artists themselves. So I reached out to a large portion of this list, and I'm glad to say that you'll be hearing from 5 of the artists that I have featured. And if you know me at all, I'm a short story long kind of guy, not a long story short kind of guy, but I am doing my best here, and it is Christmas after all. I'll be as concise as I can. I do want to give a quick mention to my favourite albums this year, because, you know, songs and albums go hand in hand as year-end lists go, because there was so much stuff this year that blew my mind. There were some headline albums that I haven't even managed to listen to yet because of this aforementioned beautiful gluttony. I tried to rank these, but honestly, I just can't. So the top 10 albums for me this year, in no particular order, are Lady Gaga, MAYHEM, Jacob Alon, In Limerence, PinkPantheress, Fancy That, Conan Gray, Wishbone, Zara Larsson, Midnight Sun, Lily Allen, West End Girl, ROSALÍA, Lux, Rose Gray, Louder Please, Ollie Alexander, Polari, and Jamie Duffy's self-titled debut album. Now, before we jump into the songs of the year, quick note to subscribe to Lame Heart on your preferred podcasting platform or on YouTube. I hate to make a case about numbers, but it truly is what helps me get the best guests I can for you to listen to. And if you like Lame Heart, talk about it. Tell your friend. Tell your mum. Tell your dad. Tell your work colleague at the water cooler when you've run out of things to talk to. Tell your ex about it if you're looking for an excuse to slide in. Okay, maybe don't do that. That's a little bit problematic. But, I don't know, tell your barista. Tell your barber. And we're going to jump right into the list now. Cheers.
Hey, I'm Baby Queen.
Hi, I'm Katie Beza.
Hey, this is Ram McMullen.
Hi guys, Lara here.
Hey, I'm Jim from Koala.
Hi, I'm Astrides.
And you are listening to Lame Heart.
And you're listening to Lame Heart.
And you're listening to Lame Heart.
It's out now.
I really hope you enjoy it.
So enjoy.
First up, we got Mo and Big Piig with Sweet. This landed in January and it's one of my favourite collabs of the year. I've long been a fan of Mo and how she makes pop music with a grit and an edge, and she has a voice like no one else. And she used to be in a punk band, so that really shines through in a lot of her music, like on this one. Now, for inspiration here on this song, it's quite funny because I don't know if it was intentional or not, but Scandinavians are notoriously difficult to crack as people, and Mo is Danish. They're very friendly and welcoming, of course, but it is said that it can take a lot of grunt work to truly make a friend there. So lyrically, there's a story being told here. This pop song that is very punk infused, where she tells you of her hard exterior, but that if you just give it a little time, you'll see she's sweet on the inside. I can't verify this from personal experience. I don't have a huge amount of Scandinavians in my day-to-day life, but I love the story being told. And collaborating with Big Piig, whose voice I think perfectly complements this track. It is in your face, it's danceable, and it's just a big, bold declaration. Second up, we have Lady Gaga with Vanish Into You. This is like the big ballad moment of her album Mayhem, which is her best in over a decade to me. And she's been doing a lot of these ballad type songs in recent years, like with A Star Is Born, Hold My Hand for Top Gun, and Die With a Smile. But this one had a level of sincerity in its delivery that the others weren't able to pull off. And lyrically, Vanish Into You really feels like we're peering into her soul. The chorus is so satisfying, how you're building up, and she gives us some of the most powerful vocals on the album. And it's really worth the wait for this payoff in the chorus. And it's become one of the closing songs of her very widely acclaimed Mayhem Ball tour. And in all honesty, there are several exceptional songs on this album. But I think, firstly, this one sums up her at the moment the best. She's grateful, she's happy, and healed. But also, I have a rule that only one song per artist gets onto the shortlist every year. Vanish Into You also has such a strong duality as a ballad, because it has been played on club dance floors, but equally can be considered a quiet, cozy ballad moment too. She's very much in love, and like Sweet before this, it's a big bold declaration. Next up, we have Jacob Alon with Don't Fall Asleep, who is from Fife in Scotland, and probably my favourite album of the year. In Limerence, their debut album. I know I said on the top 10 list I couldn't rank them all, but I have a slight feeling that I'd put In Limerence as the number one, because it really just soundtracked my whole year. And I got to interview them about the album several months ago. Since then, the album is now Mercury shortlisted, and Jacob is nominated for the Critics' Choice Award at next year's Brit Awards, which is amazing. And this particular song, Don't Fall Asleep, is a real gem on the track list. It tackles having an imaginary relationship with a family member who passed before your birth, but also about not shying away from a difficult world. Somehow balancing these two messages and narratives at the same time is staggering, and it's a beautifully crafted song from Alon. And here we are, speaking about it earlier this year. Here is your first guest. The single you shared in March, Don't Fall Asleep, has lived in my head rent-free for a few weeks. Deconstructing the lyrics and listening to it in some different settings to kind of give it a proper test. But it really reminded me in a very niche way, looking at the story of it, it reminded me of Joanne by Lady Gaga, tackling this idea of an imagined relationship to a family member who passed before you were born. Was there any inspiration here?
That is crazy. I think I did read up on Joanne, like since someone's made that connection before, and it's so cool. I think there's many different types of relationships we have to ourselves and to others, and also to stories as well. I don't know if there's such a thing as experiencing reality without the film of, or the filter of, our perception in some way. And although I never met this person that sadly passed just before I was born, I'd always known a version of them through the stories that were told to me. And I think a lot of us, that's how we interface with the many characters that, are in culture and are known to us through other people, and also maybe the stories that we tell about the people that we do know and ourselves, who those characters are, who those egos are. There's a sentiment in that song that feels more pertinent, like to how I'm feeling right now in the world, which is like, even though it can be very alluring to like give in to the temptation of turning away from the real world and like falling into fantasy, the harder thing to do, but the necessary thing to do is to try and stay present and try and stay awake. And when there's all this horror going on, I just want to fall asleep forever and just not get out of bed. But I think the I'd like to say to myself, and I suppose in a self-compassionate way, I'm trying to say to myself and to those that also feel like that, is that you're precious. You're still precious to me, at least. And I'd love if you stayed with it.
Now we have DUMBPHONE with Cry in Your Sheets on the Best of 2025 list. I first found DUMBPHONE on TikTok in summer of 2022 doing a cover of Lorde's Solar Power in the hyperpop style of Charlie XCX. I really loved it, so I made sure to follow on streaming so that I could keep up with any future releases. And we then met by chance in London in February 2023 at a Tuva Sturka show, who is fantastic and has been on Lame Heart before. She's from Sweden. But little did I know that it'd take until this year, 2025, for more music. But man, was it worth it. This song, Cry in Your Sheets, is such a complex banger with so much packed in under 2 minutes. I'd say of all the songs on this list, it gives you the most bang for your buck on a per second basis. And I had to find out more. So I caught up with DUMBPHONE and here we are, chatting about it. Jamie, also known as DUMBPHONE, welcome to Lame Heart. It's the Best of 2025 list and I'm jazzed that Cry in Your Sheets was on it and you made that banger. How does it feel to make a banger?
Oh my God, hi, thank you. You're too kind. You're too kind. So honored to be here.
No, like the song has been on rotation everywhere that I go.
Oh my God, who hurt you?
I think I'm just a sucker for that real, like, I just love how violent it is, really.
No, but I'm so happy to hear that. I feel like that's all of the music I love, right? That's like Passion Pit, Robin, like the new Lorde album. It's like sad, but like not like twinkly guitar sad, like uns sad, you know?
Cry in Your Sheets. You managed to pack a lot into less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, I was in my PinkPantheress bag. I think,
Nice.
you know what it is? I worked on this song for such a long time. And what became the kind of like, I guess hook, there's not really a chorus, it's just like in 3 parts, right? But that kind of melody, um, that I really wanted to be like a big chorus of like a much longer, like 3:30 thing. Um, but whatever I did just felt like superfluous whenever I went back to like write more verses and stuff. I think I just got to a point with it where I was like, you know what, like this 1 minute and 45 seconds is like all there needs to be.
So we're keeping it northern again. We have Aidan Jones here with Mine, who is from Edinburgh in Scotland. And Mine is one of my favourite new tracks of the year. I played it fairly non-stop in my car for the summer because it's just so damn sing-alongable. And I spoke to Aidan right when Mine was released as his debut single back in April. And I knew I'd be talking to Aidan at some point on here. And I'm glad to say you are getting your third artist in a row right now. We had to meet to talk about Mine before the year was out. And here's some of that chat. Aidan Jones, welcome to Lame Heart and to the Best of 2025 list that I've made. I've included your debut single, Mine. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on. And I mean, I've been playing the song all year long, so it just felt right, really, to include it on the short list.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I released it, I remember you texted me and I was already like familiar with you and everything. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. I was like, I wonder if I'll get on the podcast. And now here I am.
Yes, it's taken longer than I thought. And I think I was just realizing in the last week or two, I was like, I need to pencil Aidan in for like maybe next year or something, because I know he'll keep releasing music. And then I realized I couldn't let mine slip by and be left in 2025 without like an official acknowledgement like this.
No, never.
Because it's just a bit of a banger, and I'm always keeping an eye out for when there's some pop music coming up, because I'm just a pop music person. Well, I think it was just written with like some good hooks, and that's like really at its core what pop music kind of is, even if it kind of dilly dallies into sounds associated with other genres, like the fact that it's very electric guitar led and stuff like that might make you think it doesn't qualify as a pop song, but it does, to me at least.
It is. You're right.
Yeah. What made you want to roll that one out first?
Mine felt like a really good first like introduction to what I was trying to say, because the whole project is under the umbrella or the idea of trying to convince someone to love you, which sounds really sad, but I think there's something interesting in like the rat race of trying to convince someone to be interested in you. Like, I think it's just, yeah. So I thought mine was a good introduction to that.
So how long were you like laboring over this? Because I understand that, especially when you're dealing in the pop realm, people do class songs as being simple, but I'm just like, if you had any idea how many hours it takes to revert back to it like sounding almost simple, you would never try to write a pop song ever.
I had no like grasp on how long. I've always wrote songs. Like, I've been writing songs since I was like 12. Like, I've always loved songwriting. But being in the studio, making a project that you're trying to make cohesive and sound interesting is really difficult. And mine was one of those songs that it took a minute to find what I wanted to be. Like, you're right, it's a pop song, but it's got some electric guitars. Like, it's quite heavy for a pop song, and the chorus is quite stabby, which I quite liked, but I was nervous because I do want to be a pop musician, and I was nervous to make mine my first single when I was unsure of where it would be viewed genre-wise. But I just thought, why not? And I think it's paid off. I love it as my first single. I love it.
The sixth song on the list is Girl Like Me by PinkPantheress. So I am late to the PinkPantheress party, admittedly. And when I saw Jacob Alon was Mercury shortlisted, I also saw that her mixtape Fancy That had been shortlisted. And this, admittedly, did influence me to think, maybe she's worth a shot, because I had been quite cynical about her for a few years. I was cynical because of statements she made about like song length and not really caring about albums as bodies of work. I did grow about 30 years older internally and be like, well, back in my day, albums counted and blah, 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 blah. But I had a change of heart to hear her out. I thought, give her a chance. Because what if she makes good tunes? Oh boy, does she. This mixtape is now one of my most played albums of the year, and Girl Like Me is the most ridiculously catchy song on there. I should have never doubted her. Her insane ability to produce these songs sample very, very cleverly. She has Romeo by Basement Jaxx sampled on Girl Like Me. And just, she gets a good hook line going. If she comes to Ireland in 2026, best believe I'll be there. We are almost halfway through the list now. The seventh track on the Best of 2025 list with Lame Heart is Gimmicks by a singer called GRACEY. And GRACEY is one of my favourite new discoveries of this past year or so as a pop music person, because I'd been aware of her for a long time, but I hadn't done my due diligence in listening. Then, out of nowhere, I kind of got contacted asking if I'd like to have her on Lame Heart, and I said, yeah, that's a great opportunity, and I was sold. She makes bangers, and she was a joy to have on. Her story is very interesting, but one that I am seeing more and more often now in music. She used to be signed to a major label and made some great records there, but is now gone independent. And in my opinion, the music is even better. And Gimmicks is her best work so far. It's just a banger. It's like, I can't describe it any other way. It's so brilliantly in your face and has just enough of a yearning feeling in the vocals and melodies that it just makes it the perfect pop song. And the replay value is through the roof on this banger. A feeling I recalled when I listened to Gimmicks for the first time is I remember sitting up at midnight on the 10th of March 2017 to listen to Number One Angel by Charlie XCX, the first of 2 mixtapes she released that year. And this song gave me the same feeling as I had all those years ago. I said to her when I interviewed her that a banger is the best thing in the world, and this song proves my point. Probably the song of the summer, Gimmicks by GRACEY. We are going to go down to New Zealand now to visit Lorde, who had a song called Man of the Year. This track really conveys the mess and imperfection of her latest album, Virgin, which dropped in June. And there are split opinions on this as to whether the mess and imperfection of the album is a good or a bad thing, because I've heard different opinions. But as a standalone song, judging that, this song goes on a crazy story arc where Lorde is exploring her own gender identity and expression, because as a woman, she always felt like she had a masculine side. And that's what she's looking at here. Very raw and reflective lyrically as a song, and the way the production builds up to this epic drop is just insanely addictive. The way in the middle of the mess of it all she shouts, "I didn't think he'd appear, let's hear it for the Man of the Year," feels so cathartic, and it really climaxes the album for the listener. And I can also say seeing this live on her tour blew my mind. From all the way in New Zealand, we are back in Europe now, and we're going to Sweden with Zara Larsson, who had Midnight Sun. At the start of this year, I put Mo, Carly Rae Jepsen and Zara Larsson on a list of people who I thought could blow back up this year. Zara took that job and ran with it, because Midnight Sun, the album, was her best album yet, and brought her to playing her biggest tour yet, arenas internationally for the first time ever, including the 3 Arena here in Dublin. Conceptually, Midnight Sun, the single, perfectly sells the entire feeling she's been playing up since the memification of Symphony with Dreamscape Dolphins in the summer of 2024. That feverish excitement of late nights basking in the sun, especially when it's fresh at the start of summer, stacked onto such an intense beat with a drop as good as that makes it a perfect summer banger. And it paid off, because the song is up for Best Dance Pop Recording at the Grammys next spring. Zara is just as famous as a performer, and the drop, as I mentioned, also included a ridiculously long vocal run, which she did every night on tour, which always wows the audience. It's finally her time to shine. And this song perfectly set off the album, and it soundtracked a lot of evening walks in the sun for me. Back at home for the 10th song on the Best of 2025 list is George Lyons with LOLA. This is a brand new artist. He's from Waterford, and LOLA is the debut single off his first EP, Notions, which dropped in early December. And I'm definitely a pop music person. I'm always trying to keep my eye to the ground for what's happening, especially with Irish artists. And the line I've been saying for months about this song, because it's so true, is that it's the best Irish pop record I've heard in 3 years, since Ocean Tisdale dropped White Lies. And I knew I had to find out more. So here's me and George talking about LOLA for you. George Lyons, welcome to Lame Heart. Here because it's the best 2025 list, and LOLA has shot right in there, your first song of the year and the lead of your EP Notions. How does it feel to make bangers?
It feels great. Yeah, I feel like I couldn't have anticipated how people responded to it, and it's been like the best thing I could have hoped for, so I'm super happy with it.
Loads, and it's perfect summer anthem. It was just very summery, very happy, a banger. I know I keep saying that word, but
I agree. We wrote it around like Christmas time, like last year, which is funny. And we were like, just wait till it gets like hot, and then we're gonna put it out, and people are gonna freak out over it. And yeah, it's just been great.
You timed that really, really well, and I have to say this was the best Irish pop record I've heard in about 3 years. Because we do have a lot of good artists in the country, but it's a genre we're lacking in a little bit, especially since the glory days of the Westlifes and the Bewitched of the world. So it's great to see that coming through from someone like yourself this year.
Yeah, if there's a gap, I'd be really happy to sort of take that place. You know, I think, like you said, like there's so many amazing Irish acts coming out right now. It is really cool that there does seem to be room for, some. I suppose there's always room for good pop music at the end of the day, and it's just nice that I sort of get to do it in a frame where, maybe there's not loads and loads of people doing it, so maybe it gets a little bit more attention or something like that.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it does have to be a banger or people won't listen.
Oh, without a doubt. Like that is, I feel like that's the prerequisite.
Next up, we have a CMAT with Euro Country. It's been a breakout year for Dublin's own CMAT. She had her third #1 album on the Irish charts. She's 3 for 3 over here. She's had a good audience here in Ireland for a while, but even by those standards, she got so much bigger this year with this album rollout. And while the second single, Take a Sexy Picture of Me, which was inspired by negativity she faced for how she looked at the Brit Awards, that one was the biggest hit, but I think she really shone through on the title track, Euro Country. This one takes us through a very difficult relationship she has to Ireland, where we're in an age where Ireland is seen as trendy and it's considered cool to embrace your Irishness, the language, Celtic symbols, etc. But behind all this, CMAT feels like there's ignoring going on towards major issues of both present and not so recent past in Ireland. She particularly references the 2008 crash and following recession on the bridge of the song, which is a big highlight, and how we're still suffering the effects of that in the present day. The song was a hit, and it's credited with ending Bertie Ahern's presidential campaign before it even began. She then took the album to the sold-out 3 Arena Dublin and has 2 huge outdoor shows next summer here, so we all can't wait for the rise of CMAT. Song number 12 on the list is Conan Gray with 1111. Conan Gray's an interesting one for me because any of his music I listen to ends up being far more compelling than I thought upon first listen, which I think is a very powerful thing you can do as an artist, where you can win someone over without them realising. Because I moderately enjoyed his first album, Kid Crow, in 2020, but now we're 5 years on, and if I think back, I definitely didn't think at the time that I'd be revisiting it as much as I have for the past 5 years. Which brings us to his 4th album, Wishbone, from August. The album was great from first listen, but I had a really good feeling knowing that I hadn't really understood everything yet, and knowing that I have loads of layers to unpack for the coming weeks. Basically, I knew this album was going to feed my brain for a while, and the highlight is its penultimate track, 1111. Conan wrote 300 songs for this album, and it shows. It's extremely well thought out, and especially 1111 as this very melancholic banger. Well, I don't know if I'd call it a banger. It's melancholic, more of a ballad. A lot of the songs are focused on a particularly difficult breakup, and 1111 just portrays that so well, with a message of how this person lingers on, even though it's been a while since they've seen each other. And I love how he weaves superstitions into the lyrics, all with the intention of getting someone back. And he also references the title of the album, Wishbone. The song title is a reference as well to the time when people traditionally, superstitiously make a wish. His vocal performance gets more desperate as the song goes on, which really nails the record in the end and kicks you in the guts. Yeah, don't listen to this one if you're feeling too fragile. Speaking of don't listen to this one if you're fragile, track number 13 is Tebi Rex with And I'm Mad. This is an emotional one. Tebi Rex have been together as a hip-hop duo for 10 years, and in January, members Matt O'Boyle and Max Zanga announced they'd be finishing up the band, with their 3rd album, Finn, which landed in August. I was blown away that I was immortalised on the 2nd track, The Ship of Theseus, where they sampled a Lame Heart episode when I chatted to them back in 2021. They also closed out the band with a final gig in the Button Factory just before Christmas. The best song on the album, in my opinion, is And I'm Mad. It's painfully raw as a song about grief, because since the last album, Matt lost his mother and Max lost a friend. It's a difficult listen, but it's powerful. It's very powerful. When they performed this at the gig just before Christmas, the entire room went silent and absolutely still, which when you hear the song, you will understand why that would be quite strange in a way, because it's a very upbeat and almost garage-like backing track. But everyone in the room understood this was a moment to be frozen and to listen. And I just caught up with Matt from Tebi Rex. So here we are, your 5th guest of this episode. Here we are discussing And I'm Mad.
It's definitely my favorite piece of art I've ever created. And I think it's the most open and vulnerable I've ever been in a track. And because it was a poem, like the song wasn't written for the album. It was a poem I had written in my notes app just to kind of be expressive and to I don't know, just it just helped me at the time. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, God, I do want to address Mam's death on the album. Like, it is important to address the theme of death when you're talking about endings. Like, I would love to have this poem on the album, but I'm not going to do it unless it's right and unless it fits and unless it's perfect. And it just wasn't happening, and that was fine. I was kind of like, all right, cool, I'm not gonna put that on. And then we got sent a beat pack from Adam Redmond, who did like Ireland's Fall, who did I did a ton of tracks on the album. I'm blanking on it now, but I got that beat from him, and I wrote to Max, being like, this is the one, listen to this. And I sent him a vocal take of me doing the And I'm Mad verse on that, and he was like, yeah. And he actually changed his verse on And I'm Mad was going to be a different track altogether, and he actually meshed his one to fit that, which was really cool.
I'm lost for words because it's such a beautiful way of honoring the sort of grief despite how difficult it is. And it checks out what you were saying there about how your verse was just something that you happened to say for no reason.
Yeah.
Not for no reason, but for processing purposes instead of for songwriting purposes, because that's exactly how it feels when it lands on you. It feels very natural in this paradoxical way. It shouldn't feel natural at all, but delivered with a good flow and the repetition of the words "and I'm mad" throughout. It's great because I suppose being mad and being angry isn't often addressed in songs relating to grief. It's often just the sadness, and don't get me wrong, the sadness is there, but people don't address the anger side of it, which is very complex to discuss and to try and unravel.
Yeah, because I think there's a big part of it where I know my family anyway, and other people have mentioned it to me as well, who've lost their parents, and like people feel robbed at times. You know what I mean? It's like, this has been taken from me unfairly. This is unjust, especially if someone doesn't die of old age. You're like, this isn't cool at all. Like, I have a right to be pissed off at this. So someone wrote to me being like, it feels like I read your diary on that song or something. I feel like a diary entry. I'm like, oh, like I like that. That's very cool. Yeah, it's nice. I'm very pleased with it. I'm very, very pleased with it indeed.
For the 14th song on this list, we have the return of Lily Allen. I knew we'd hear music from Lily Allen someday, at some point, but I didn't see this coming at all. Because initially when she announced her album West End Girl, I was shocked that she was surprise dropping an entire album with only 4 days notice. No promo, no single, no music video. Just an entire body of work for us to deduce meaning from ourselves. And it's such a fantastic album. Well done, Lily. In her typical style, it's very matter-of-fact, it's brutally honest, and she can just write a great story at the end of the day. If she wasn't a singer, she'd be a writer in some other way. The album is a confessional piece about the breakdown of her second marriage to Stranger Things star David Harbour. And she wrote of a partner being unfaithful to her, breaking the terms of their open marriage, and the downward spiral of it all. The song I've chosen is Tennis, which is the 4th track on the album, which was difficult to do because the album is such a strong body of work that truly, like, this was the only imaginable rollout for it. You can't break the songs up into singles. You can't listen on shuffle. If you're playing this album, you're strictly doing it from start to finish. And I chose Tennis because it's such a key turning point in the story, because she's just agreed to open the marriage under certain conditions, but the thing is she's not sold on it yet, and she's people-pleasing, just agreeing to it. But in this song, she finds out her partner has something to hide, or should I say someone to hide. Tennis was the 2nd song she wrote for the album on the first day of writing, and she said on her podcast, Miss Me, with Makita Oliver, that this and the other song from that day, Just Enough, will always be extra special to her. But the structure and melodies of the song, especially that chorus, along with the jangly piano to help tell the story of her finding out there's another woman, it really sells the emotion. And then it got turned into a meme, of course, because the other woman in the narrative is named Madeline. So the chorus ending with her asking, "Who the f is Madeline?" became food for the internet, to quote. The final and 15th song on this list is from ROSALÍA, and it's Reliquia. This album looks is the most ambitious album of the year. The headlines said it all. With ROSALÍA singing in 13 different languages on this album, it's dramatic and glorious. She had the London Symphony Orchestra playing here, so she means business on this record. And in researching for this, because I hadn't really listened to much ROSALÍA before this album, I learned that she studied classical music at university, and she's really flexing that muscle on this whole album. Her voice is so incredible that even when I don't understand most words, I can really get the feeling from her vocal delivery. And this song, Reliquia, is a huge highlight to me. Not just the soaring vocals and how the melodies build up, but the story of her having lots of memories in different places with someone around the world. She lost a lot of things in a lot of places, but her heart, she gives away herself. And as she mourns this relationship, which we can only assume to be the engagement she had ended since her last album, Motomami, she still feels as though a part of her will be with her former partner forever. I wouldn't say this is the showstopper of the album on the orchestra side, but I would consider it the best all-rounder between the orchestra, the vocals, the story, the melodies, the production, especially when we factor in the outro where she goes electronic and this euphoric high closes out Reliquia. Absolutely deserves to be on this list. And there you have it, the best of 2025 list for Lame Heart this year. There's 15 tracks there. I have them all linked in the episode description where you can find the playlist. You can also find the long list that I had to whittle down because there's so much good music there. Thanks to all the artists who joined me this year, and thanks also to the ones who spoke to me on this episode. It's been a great year for music. If you enjoyed this, please go subscribe to Lame Heart and tell your friends about it. I'm Rory Egan, and I will see you on the next episode. See ya. Slán a bhaile.